wanted to say thank you everybody for coming. We've got about 43 people here, which is good. Um, and yeah, this is a very informal, like wrap up webinar. It's just a place for you to hear about maybe some highlights. We were just talking before about Dave. He took some holiday afterwards. So I haven't seen anything about the recordings being available yet, but I'm sure they will be soon. So when they are available, you should check them out, and you can hear from some people today about what we think you might be interested in watching. So yeah, I just wanted to say a quick thank you to Maureen, Karen, and Stacey for also agreeing to present today. And if you have questions at any time, put them in the chat. I'll be looking at it. Or you can just unmute yourself and talk if you're comfortable doing that. And first up, we have Maureen. If you want to go ahead.
Sure. Darn, I was hoping I wouldn't be first, but that's okay. I can run with it. I went so far as to chuck stuff on a slide. There we go. Okay. So because the recordings aren't available, I didn't want to highlight any specific recording for people to go back and watch, but I would recommend, can you see my slides? First, my slide.
Yes.
Good. Thanks, Stacey. Big thing for me going to IGeLU in person was an in-person conference. Oh my God, they're amazing. I forgot how good they were. And I guess I wanted to highlight some of the advantages of that to help everyone think about why they might want to go to an IGeLU conference or another one in the future and help build your argument, because we all need to get each other in each other's faces more often. Screen is fantastic. In person, so much better. So big thing about the people at IGeLU. This was my first IGeLU conference. Back when the ANZREG conferences happened face to face was before I was on the systems side of things. Never been to one of those either. So this was my first opportunity to realize these are my people. And I was surrounded by geeks talking about what they do in their spare time in Excel. And I was in love with the people. It didn't matter that I was in the most beautiful location in Siena. I could have been in like small town Australia with Hicks, and it really didn't matter. The people and the connection was amazing. An anecdote I'll give you is the very first night chatting with a few people, and we were talking about what we were planning on attending through the week. And I was saying that I signed up for the knowledge day for the last day of the conference instead of the developers day, because I just thought by that point in the week, I'm going to be overwhelmed and it'll just be too much. The response unanimously was, the knowledge day, that's really basic. Come on, come to the developers day with us. It's so much more interesting. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm surrounded by geeks. I love this. And I did end up going to the developers day. A big draw for me to the knowledge day was, but Yoel is offering some sessions. I could meet the man, the legend. So instead, I just went up to him at a lunch break instead. Shook his hand. I got to meet him. I might have even given him a hug. I think he was a bit weirded out, but that's okay. It's Yoel. We all love him. So the people was a huge part for me. The perspective that it gave me was another part. Going to a session, hearing about the Swiss library consortia rolling out Primo NDE to 500 different views. Like, okay, yeah, I can handle my 2 views. No problem. So just giving me the perspective of what different institutions are doing, what we're doing in ANZREG versus what different national organizations need to deal with. So national organizations needing to deal with the fact that you can't put an umlaut as a character in some of the Alma translations. Like, oh yeah, I suppose we've done pretty well in ANZREG in pushing for the Australian specific enhancements that have gotten in there. We've done really well. So again, perspective. Product, where I came away thinking about the product was AI is everywhere. Everybody's talking about AI. And Clarivate is keen to get AI in every area of their roadmap. But they don't always know what will be useful for us. And that's the part that I came away with and thought the real benefit of these conferences was the conversations with product people, with the Clarivate people over lunch or in meetings, and having them ask me, how do you think AI will be useful for you? And realizing, I guess, like we all know that Ex Libris is really supportive of our ideas exchange and putting forward things in the curve process for voting. But they really need us to drive their direction and are really keen to get input and feedback. And the better case examples we can give them of, well, actually, AI would be how I see it being used in Esploro or in Rapid ILL would be blah, 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 blah. Let's do that more. So that was a big thing for me, awareness of the product, and not something that you need to be there in person for, but definitely getting someone's ear can help. And passion. Obviously, I'm a very passionate person, but I started the conference very diligently. I'm new to my role as team leader of library systems at Southern Cross University, and we're not doing any implementations in the next 12 months. So I'm just going to focus on evaluation and review of my systems. I came back from the conference with, what? Let's go with that. So it really helps to reinvigorate you and get you excited about things. And the last thing I wanted to leave you with in terms of reasons to go to a conference in person for IGeLU 2026 is the price from a relative perspective. If you look at travel to Taipei versus travel to even New Zealand or something, it's actually going to be relatively affordable next year. So it's a really good opportunity for people to think about trying to get to IGeLU next year because of the price. So there's my 5 Ps. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. That was great. All right, next is Karen, and I have Karen's slides, so bear with me while I work out how to share them. There we go.
Thanks, Ella.
That's all right.
I know you'll be able to screen share far better than me. So hi, everyone. This was the second time that I've attended the IGeLU conference as a virtual attendee, so it must be pretty good if I came back for the second virtual perspective. Every year the conference has a different theme, and this year it was celebrating 20 years of community, and I think we definitely got that through a lot of the presentations. So I'd just like to share with you what I like about the conference, my key takeaways from it, and what I think the benefits are of attending virtually if you can't get there in person. So what I like is that it has the familiar in that it's the products we all use and we may know a lot or a little about. We may have seen, some of the presentations or the products at ANZREG days and things previously. It has the new and the innovative, so libraries sharing their stories of implementations and new projects and customized processes, and Clarivate demonstrations of products. And it has the opportunity to contribute by joining groups, completing Padlets, QR code questions, using the Q&A feature with contacts available if you want to learn more about it afterwards. And I feel this year's virtual conference was far better, that most of the presenters had things that we could, be involved with. So moving to slide 2. Many of the presentations are timetabled at the same time, so it's difficult sometimes to choose what do I want to go to. So this year I decided to prioritise the working group open meetings. I'm a member of the Rapid ILL working group, and personally I'd recommend joining a working group because it builds on your knowledge and opens up opportunities, and also an insight into preparations for the conference. And certainly if you use Rapid ILL, feel free to contact me if you've got questions about the group, because we're hoping to expand our numbers next year. So moving to slide 3. So last year I took a sort of pick and mix lolly sort of preparation. I went to all sorts of different presentations. This year I decided to concentrate on more related topics, so resource sharing and research assistant presentations. So as well as the Clarivate presentations, there was a really interesting one by research by the Berlin University. So that was looking at research assistant, the pros and the cons. So it was really good to sort of see what their survey results were in terms of how students were using it. So that's one that I definitely recommend having a look at. And moving to slide 4. So resource sharing was covered in 7 presentations, which was total heaven for me. I think it's the most that we've had for resource sharing. And I continually learn more about resource sharing through these type of conferences. So I learned that there's an international ISO broker group. So if you haven't had enough broker chat with TPRS, reach out to them because they want people to test and review. So that Centre for Ill Transactions was interesting. I also learned that ebook lending will be up to our own libraries to negotiate with our ebook subscriptions. So if anyone's had any success with allowing full access through their licenses, I'd love to hear from you because that's of course the bugbear, but it's certainly something that Clarivate say they will support if we're able to negotiate on licenses. So that was something new. Moving to slide 5, there's always something different and innovative and quirky at this conference. So Seoul University showed us a bento-style Primo search results page, which they had created with Clarivate's help. So as I say, there's always something different and interesting. It was the first time that they'd presented at IGeLU too, so they did a really great job. And moving to slide 6, I think the benefits of attending virtually is a key takeaway is just hearing about other libraries' projects. So like a shout out to University of Sydney. I didn't know about their use of AI agents for pre-submission feedback tools. So that was demonstrated by Clarivate. So that was really interesting to see some detail on that. And as a virtual attendee, it's really great. You can make very thorough notes, and also you can be involved because there's surveys, QR codes for comments, and the Q&A online is monitored really well by the room moderators. So you're definitely not ignored if you put a question in the Q&A box. And moving to slide 7, I've just put a little summary of the talks that I would recommend, which I hope some of you might find it useful to have a look at those ones when the videos are released soon. So next year's conference in Taiwan will be a much better time zone if you're thinking about virtual attendance. So talks will start around midday Melbourne time, whereas for Siena, it was 5 p.m. that they were starting off. So midday sounds a lot better. So yeah, that's all from me.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen. Does anybody have any questions for Maureen and Karen while we're here? If you do, you can unmute or you can write it in the chat or not. That's fine. Dave has put the conference feedback form in the chat for anybody who did attend and hasn't filled it out yet. Please do so. But I will now hand over to Stacey.
Hopefully you can see that. Is
Yes.
that okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Cool. As I said, as we started off, I've just got some pretty pictures basically. So it's always nice to look at those instead of staring at me. So IGeLU Conference is usually my holiday, actually, for the year. And what a privilege to get to gallivant around Europe, usually. And now next year we get to gallivant around Taipei. So because it's such a long way when you go in person, I do go a couple of days in advance and a day after, and well and truly walk myself to death. And so it was absolutely beautiful. I don't know what how Dave manages to talk us into getting to places that are just absolutely stunning. But if you're a lover of history and exploring, picking a direction and walking that way and seeing what you find, then IGeLU conferences are really great for that. And the next highlight for me is as Maureen has mentioned, the experiences of being with other people and like-minded folks as yourself, because even though I'm a huge introvert, and I'm always looking for the hidden corners at the IGeLU conferences, which the organisers are really good about as well, by the way. There's lots of places where you can tuck yourself away to do quiet work or just recharge your cup. Or empty your cup, as well as lots of opportunities, like Maureen mentioned, to bump into people, do that networking thing, get that ear of, Yol in the lunch line, or to hear, there's always product managers sidling up to you, wanting to say hello and make that connection, plus people from all around the world. And it's a very friendly conference, I find. And I really do agree with Maureen that it's just lovely, because you might be the only person in your institution that does your job, right? So you're with people who know what you're talking about, and yeah, geeking out, as Maureen said. So, and even when it comes down to things like recommendations for the best gelato, Maureen, this is the pizza that you recommended that we had a hotel picnic for. That was absolutely amazing. And the middle picture is someone from a French institution who ran up to me and insisted upon getting a photo because she knows me from the listservs. So, and then like, it's just a way for us to, put faces to names. And so when we're reaching out for help across the planet on the listservs, when we're back at home and alone and feeling like we have an insurmountable problem, you know that there are friendly people on the other side of that listserv who were more than happy to help you. So yeah, definitely that sense of community is huge for me. Even though I love working from home, it's my outreach to people like me. And also to IGeLU colleagues, because I am the Primo Working Group coordinator. So, and Dave definitely does keep us busy. So that's another reason why it made me laugh, Ella, that you were counting instances of seeing me on the cameras, because I did moderate 8 sessions for my peers, so for all of you. So I was running around a lot doing that. And so often I don't have a chance to actually see presentations, which is okay. I like keeping busy. But the session that I wanted to share that I was particularly most taken with, of those I managed to attend, was the one you can see in the green slide to the right, which was the University of Regina, who it was developing an AI assessment strategy, a case study using the Primo Research Assistant. And this was a session, I moderated a block of sessions about the AI Research Assistant. So I was a bit sick of it by the end, but this was the last one, and it was a great one because she managed to not only overcome some tech difficulties, because it was a Zoom, one of the few Zoom sessions that we had, but she really had done some excellent work on assessing the tool and taking into consideration all different factors for giving it a good look, which we will take seriously at University of Queensland as well. So we always do a good deep dive. So it's good to hear how other people are doing that in their own institutions. But otherwise, I'd say it's a good opportunity to meet with support as well. when I go to IGeLU, I always have a meeting set up. I met with Martin this year, Martin Boucher, and Tamar Gaynor came as well, and also Tally Aviv, who's the head of the documentation team, rushed in towards the end, which they often do. You'll see them rushing around because they've got a lot of people to meet. But like Maureen said, it's that opportunity, right? And they wanted things like a key takeaway that they like quick wins, right, from their customers that they could achieve. So I gave them some little tidbits and whinges in that meeting. And I also meet with the Primo working group, of course. We also meet with Primo product management, which is another good opportunity. And you can see I've listed some, they always like to make some big announcement at IGeLU, right? And they actually had several this time. So I thought I'd just list them all for you here as well. And the other slide is from the product conversations session with Israel and Sima and Neely. And what else? And I present twice, so that takes up a lot of time. So and it was actually nice as well because I want to give back too and share what I've been doing at my institution. And it's always nice to hear from people who are inspired by your work. And my own presentation, just yesterday, I shared some of my Primo normalization rules for external data sources that someone tapped me after my presentation and said that they'd really like to learn from what I'd done because I had learned from somebody else. And I emphasized that in my own presentation, that somebody helped me. And I did a shout out during mine. And so it's passing it along, right? So it's helping them to on their own journey to Primo VE as well. Yeah, so I think that's probably enough from me.
Great. Thank you, Stacey. I'm next, so please hold while I share my screen again. All right. If you have any questions for any of us, put them in the chat or put your hand up. But yeah, I actually attended from home this year. Like Stacey, the last 2 years, IGeLU has been my yearly holiday. And this year I wanted to go to Japan, so I didn't go to Italy. And I am going to Japan in 3 weeks instead. So I watched from my house, and like Karen said, the time difference meant the session started at 5 p.m. And they finished around 1 a.m. most mornings, I think. I never stayed up that late. Basically, I reached the afternoon tea break, and having a half-hour break at midnight or so, 11:30 midnight was too much to then sit through and come back again, so I would go to bed then. Luckily for me, it was also the week that the World Athletics Championships were on in Tokyo, so there was athletics to watch most nights to wind down after I finished watching IGeLU, so that was great. Karen has actually said this before. I think she said it last year. The amount of breaks when you're there in person are great because you have to get around to all the different rooms. But when you're sitting at your computer at 11 p.m. and there's a 10-minute break in between, it really feels like it's a long 10 minutes. I also found that some presentations finished like 10 minutes early or so. And so then you're just like, oh, do I find another presentation that's already halfway through or almost finished? Or do I just sit here and wait until the next one starts? I don't know. And there's also obviously no online networking opportunities, although Karen and I are both at La Trobe. So we were on Teams talking to each other most of the time, but it would be nice if there was some way to connect with the other people watching online. All of the questions are actually like chat, Q&A, so you don't actually get to see what other questions are being submitted really, or even how many other people are watching the same session you're watching. So that would be nice if there was some way to connect the people that are online as well at the same time. My highlights. So I've gone through day by day, because like Karen said, when you're watching online, you have the chance to take quite extensive notes, because you're just there in your room at 10 p.m. at night. by yourself. So yeah, the Clarivate plenary sessions. The general gist I got is that the November release for Alma is going to be quite big and a lot of things are changing and being introduced. But the plenary sessions, they're kind of a little teaser. So they have a lot of hints to announcements, but then you kind of need to go to the specific product sessions to find out what that weird thing they just talked about actually means. So Alma product conversation was on day one as well. So lots of AI is coming to Alma in the next year or so. We're getting central AI agents in the November release, and that will be like they're going to release it like section by section, kind of. So the first release will be for funds and ledgers, which I've told my team I'm kind of excited about. It might mean my boss stops asking me questions about our budget. She could just ask the agent instead of asking me, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't think she's here, so I can say that. And there's also insights coming to Alma in the November release. So these basically pull data from your Alma analytics. And like we'll have a little pop-up on each page and you can say, yeah, show me the insights for this page, and it pulls data from your analytics. I don't know how useful that would be, but we'll find out, I guess. Day two, like Stacey said, there were quite a few presentations about the Primo Research Assistant. This was when I gave up my tally of Stacey sightings because it was getting too many. So yeah, I found them really interesting to hear how everybody is evaluating and implementing it. Some had really great stats. The KU Leuven one, they did extensive testing and had lots of stats about whether people are actually clicking on, like, yes, people are doing the search, but then do they click on the links afterwards? And I think it was something like an average of 1.5 of the 5 resources were actually being clicked on. But my favorite was the University of Manitoba, who have a landing page with an explanatory video about what you're getting yourself into, basically, which I found is something that I personally have been wondering, like, how do you explain to people this is what you're signing up for when you click this button? So yeah, I found that one really good. There was a Clarivate session about informed fulfillment in Rialto, because again, lots of changes coming to Rialto. So it's already kind of called collection development, but they're going to expand that side of it in the November release. And there'll be a retention and deselection workflow coming in November, which would have been nice for us to have at the start of this year, because that's what I've spent most of my year doing. So that's fun. Day three, Alma release notes. This was a great session. That was a repeat of an Aluna a presentation. So they had 5 people. Some of them were in the room and some of them had recorded their bits. And it was about how you distribute release notes. And it was just so interesting hearing how different people do it, because it is actually in my job description to distribute release notes. And yeah, some people spend 3 hours reading through and finding which things are theirs. Some people make a Google form and people have to like actually vote on the ones they want to implement and talk about at a meeting that they then have to go to. It's very interesting to hear how the different approaches on release notes and how you actually stay on top of all the changes coming. Bound together material. This was interesting again to me, because it is something we probably might want to look into at La Trobe. So this was about if you have like boxes of items or like folders of stuff, and the stuff in the box is individual items, but when you borrow the thing, you have to borrow the whole thing. So you need the status to say that all of those little things are gone, but you want everybody to find each little thing. So in VE, you can bind them together basically with a parent bib record, and that parent bib record gets borrowed out so that everything has the right status. But yeah, we have quite a bit of stuff like that it might be interesting to investigate. And then there was an Alma AMA, or Ask Me Anything for those who don't use Reddit, which I think replaced a Q&A session that normally happens with Clarivate, and it was only half an hour long. I feel like it really was not long enough for them to get to any questions in detail or answer everything. So maybe Dave can tell us a bit about why that was only half an hour this year. And then finally, yeah, as people have mentioned, next year is in Taipei. It's nice and close. I'm hoping to go. I love bubble tea, and they invented bubble tea in Taiwan. So why wouldn't I go? And that's all. So I can see that there are quite a few people in the chat. So let me just have a quick look. Peter says she's given up attending virtually, feeling too old for the time zone gap. I agree. Hopefully next year, Peter, if you want to attend online, the time zone gap. Yeah, I actually almost put that as one of the points in my slide. It messed up my sleep for about 3 weeks. It's probably still not actually any better than it was. It's probably still not back to normal. Oh, Beth is here. Great. Well, now she knows. Hopefully she'll be able to ask the AI instead of me all of the questions. And oh, thanks, Maureen. Maureen has put the Manitoba video on YouTube in the chat. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes, add bubble tea to your PD application. I'm happy to do enough research and run like a ANZREG bubble tea tour if we're there. That could be fun. My husband really, really loves bubble tea, so if he comes with me, he can be our tour guide. That can be what his assignment while we're away. David W. from RMIT, hi David, how you doing? Has a good question. What advice would you have for anyone attending IGeLU in person for the first time next year? My advice would be keep an eye on your emails, and if I haven't sent anything about catching up with ANZREG people, please remind me in the weeks beforehand. I actually forgot this year to let people know that I wasn't going. So yeah, but usually we do get together and have dinner together on one of the nights. So you can meet people. That's my advice. Dave's advice is go to the first timer session. Yes, Dave does a first timer session on the first day for anybody who doesn't know what's going on.
And
Yeah, you go.
I'll speak as a first timer. 100% Dave's session is great. I learned stuff about IGeLU that I didn't know about before going to it. The organization, not just the conference. And definitely finding out, so if there's people that you do talk to in the listserv all the time, find out if they're going. See if you can meet at a lunch break at a specific place or something, just to make those connections and force yourself to be social, because it can be challenging. But it is one of the most valuable parts of going to the conference in person, is making the connections. As a Exploral product person there, I really wanted to make sure I met all of the other Exploral customers, because there's only a handful of us who were there. So I reached out and made sure to connect with each of those people while I was there as well. I looked at the attendee list. I saw that there was someone who was from my hometown in Ottawa, Canada. So when I saw her name on her name tag, I went up. I was like, "Oh, it's my hometown!" And she was a bit weirded out by that, but that's all right. So yeah, scanning the list of who's there, connecting with people, making a WhatsApp group of the ANZREG community who's there, so you can ping each other. Anybody want to go for dinner tonight? That kind of thing.
Jim asks, did Dave teach you to say the E in IGeLU? I didn't go my first time, and I still say igloo to this day. Nice.
I still say igloo. You can say igloo.
If you say it fast enough, it doesn't matter. You can skip over the E.
Yeah. Dave's always really good at recommendations for best flights as well, because Dave's always gone a few times.
Yes.
So Dave, you should share on the listserv in advance, Dave, the best flights to help everyone out.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
Paul,
But I
I
think
think
this
you.
is this
Sorry,
one a bit quicker to get there? It's like a direct flight, I think. Is there a direct flight?
Unless
if
you
you
live
go
in
with China,
Perth.
if you catch either airlines or China Airlines, it's direct. Otherwise, you have to go through either Singapore or Hong Kong.
And I think if you live in Perth, it doesn't matter. You still have to go through Melbourne or Sydney.
But you might as
Lorraine,
well go to Singapore.
yeah, Lorraine was looking up flights the other day. Lorraine's on the committee. Paul, you had a question.
Sorry, just a general sense of um, NDE. What do you feel about the, because from our point of view, we've been playing and in and out and watching the list, and we feel like it's not quite cooked yet. And what, but in your perspective, like in the conference, how much energy or resources have they put? I know they're putting a lot of resources in AI and let's throw new things in. And what's the energy or the how do you feel about in terms of a conference or commitment with regard to the development? And anyone, thank you.
I can probably speak a little bit to it. They've definitely been putting a massive amount of resources behind it to get ready for November. For example, like the accessibility audit that they've done earlier in the year. They've like got a big list of things that they want to make sure are all resolved by the November release. And we did encourage them during the product manager meeting. We had noticed, for example, that they had started pushing more items on the rollout plan to Q1 2026. And we were getting a little bit concerned about that because the list was growing longer and longer. Like almost on a daily basis, they were pushing things out of the minor releases into that. And we just said to them, look, you've got this lovely big other side of the box, which you could easily just put Q2 2026 into and really look at that list realistically and start moving things into that box so that your customers have a very clear view of when these things will actually come so that they can be making their plans. And that night they started doing it. So they started populating the Q2 box on the rollout plan. That doesn't mean that they're not committing the resources. It's just simply a realistic view, right? Of what they can achieve in February next year versus May next year. So hopefully that gives a little bit of insight. Definitely they've moved outside of like the focus groups now. Like we've been heavily involved with our members in focus groups from July 2023 onwards. But now we've gone into like the early access program. We've moved through that. Now we've got the early adopter cohort. And now they've just launched the cohort program where they're very committed to getting everyone onto it within the 2 years, basically. And it's like come hell or high water, they'll do it, is my impression. And we also wanted them to be extremely clear because it says like 2 to 3 years. And again, we were like, that's waffly. You need to tell people exactly how long and exactly what will happen at the end of that time. So that's also, I think, why they said 2 years and the forced shift after that. Does that help?
Yes, that's exactly what I hope. Yeah, some clarity and also some commitment. And I feel like a lot of people, and I've been watching Toronto suffering from back and forth, and something are not ready, and but be that as it may. But thank you. I think Q2 sort of more realistic, and then there are some components. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, much appreciated.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, some questions coming in. Dave's asking, do you think Aaron Tay from Singapore will make a good keynote speaker? Lots of hearts for that one. So I think That's a yes from us. That was my question. What was for lunch? Did you get pizza and pasta every day?
Oh my God, I can speak to the food because I was charged by my children to take as many pictures of food and send them back to them. So actually going through pictures and trying to put them in the report back presentations, I'm hard pressed to find ones aren't of the food.
I mean, my presentation last year for this session was just all the bakery food that I ate. So
See, because that's the thing is I wanted to focus on the benefits of the conference regardless of location, Ella. Sienna was just the cherry on top. We did have fantastic food options every day, and yeah, IGeLU always has great food. But I even remember hearing a vegan work group coordinator say he didn't have to complain as much, so it wasn't so bad for in terms of options. I think they had pretty covered the suite of options of food. I did just want to jump in about the question about what things were done differently. I think Jessie might still be on holidays, but I know she did a Leganto session quite a bit differently. Stacey, did she talk to you at all about how that went? Or Dave?
She laughs because everyone goes on about her Leganto workshops all the time. She was like, it's not that fancy. And everyone's like, no, it's great. So yeah, she did one last year that everyone raved about. And so I think she did the same format again this year, potentially. But we were talking in our post-conference meetings about potentially making the open working group meetings a bit longer and more interactive, rather than just us like lecturing at you. Have more like back and forth, which I would love definitely myself. So that's something that we might do next year. But I'm not sure, Maureen, if she jazzed it up further this year.
I think we also discussed about the option for running more of those those either panels or those little workshops, especially for resource sharing, be a classic, Esploro, things like that. I don't think we can. I don't know how we'd pull it off with Alma because it's we'd have to restrict the numbers. Like you can't have like 200 people showing up for a workshop because it ain't going to work. So we'd be looking at things like that. But then that puts more work on the working group coordinators. Sort those sort of things out. So yeah.
One thing I didn't anticipate as a face-to-face participant in any interactive sessions, went to an analytics one where they had the screens with where they were walking through what they were doing, and then we had our laptops where we were going along with it. And this is a personal thing, but I totally did not anticipate this, and it would have been easier to do it online because I had to change my glasses constantly to look at my computer and then to look at the screen and look at my computer and look at the screen. So that would have been much easier if I was actually on screen for that.
I think we were not allowed to go to that one, actually.
See?
I don't think that one was streamed, yeah.
Yeah, those sort of things are hard to stream, especially the workshops, because we lose sound quality. We have all sorts of problems. Can I tell you something amusing? What happened to poor old Maureen?
No, Dave, I'm saving that for my report back to the library staff at SCU, which I haven't done yet. And there's a few of them here. So I'm afraid you'll all just have to hear about the interesting anecdote in a future when you come and I see you face to face at a future conference.
Yep. Just for your information, the Marconi Express was out on maintenance when I tried to leave the country.
It was? You had no luck with the Marconi Express. We waited.
Yeah,
I was with Dave on the way from Bologna to Siena, and he, his wife, and I waited for what was it, 2.5 hours or something to get on it.
Yeah, because it was
We
broken.
just took a cab. Yeah.
So there you go. You never know what you're going to come across.
Yeah. I think Taipei will definitely be a lot easier because we were all flying into Bologna or Florence or Pisa. and then you had to get to Siena. So there was either like a bus or a train. And so that was a bit of a challenge. So it'll definitely be easier in Taipei, I think.
I think so.
I
Oh
don't
no,
think so.
you don't think so?
You're gonna have to catch a train from the airport.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's
you have to do that
no.
everywhere. That's fine.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
have a feeling the train will be slightly more reliable. It won't have that
Ah,
Italian
be
leg
more reliable.
where
Yeah.
Yeah. The Italian time
I
was a
thought the
bit
trains ran
challenging.
in time and on time in Italy. I thought that
That's
was
when they're not on strike.
Yeah.
All right. Any last questions or comments or thoughts? I'll give you 30 seconds. I need some hold music so you can have a think or keep typing your question. No, I won't sing. All right. Thank you, everybody. There were about 65 people here at one stage, so that is amazing. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Jim has a train travel tip for Taipei. When everyone else gets off, get off. That means they're changing for an express train. Good tip. That is a good tip. Actually, I think that's a good tip in life. If everybody is getting off the train, you should probably also get off the train too. Patricia says, thank you for sharing your experiences. I'm considering attending next year. Yes, Trisha, I hope you come and we can finally meet in person. That would be so exciting. We were actually talking in our committee meeting yesterday. Some of us did have to go all the way to Brussels to meet for the first time. So, Taipei is not quite as far. If you want to meet some of us will be there next year. So hopefully
Yeah, Ella, I think we used Singapore as an opportunity. I think that was the first time we got the ANZREG Committee together when I was on it back then in 2019. Yeah, that was great opportunity.
Yeah. So hopefully some more people can come.
We
All
even
right.
got a photo opportunity there, Stacey,
Oh,
didn't we?
yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Peter, you're here. Yes, yeah, we got. I was
Miami.
picturing that photo in my mind, Peter, when I was saying that.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I will edit this and put it up probably next week. I'm taking a long weekend, so I won't be here at my computer. Yeah, Robin, that's a question for Dave. Dave, when will the recordings be available? If he's still here. Are you still
Yes, I'm still here. Yeah, because I took 2 weeks off.
Yeah, how dare you take a holiday?
So there's a delay. So I'll be working on them this weekend, and they'll start flying up there from this weekend onwards.
Perfect. You heard it here first, folks.
They might be all up there after the weekend, but they'll start.
They'll
going
start
up.
trickling through. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.